Welcome to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton. I'm Connor Williams, and this is the reaction video to the signing of Neal Maupay. Everton agreed a deal with Brighton for Maupay. I'll give you my thoughts, got a little bit of stats, got a poll for you because we know we do love a poll on the channel. It's great to get the fans sort of reacting to stuff. Yeah, we'll get into all that good stuff. It certainly looks like at least we have a striker of some sort coming through the door. Yeah, apparently it's a 3-year deal for Neal Maupay, but it is a striker. I don't think he's the only one. There'll be a couple more coming. But yeah, the deal is supposedly around 15 million. Neal Maupay, it's a 3-year deal. It is a 3-year deal. So he'll be with us for a little bit of a while. And yeah, apparently there are options for further years if he performs. Obviously, it's dependent on if he performs and if the club will want to keep him. We might even sell him in those 3 years, but Everton, more realistically, he'll probably run down his contract if it doesn't work out, because that's how Everton go. He is 26 years old. I'll start with the positives, because I think in the news video the other week I said I wasn't keen on him. But saying that, I wasn't keen on a lot of the strikers if you go through the news video where we did the striker one. So, yeah, slim pickings. But then when I think who we realistically could get, I think we could have realistically got that Scamacca from West Ham if we had the money before West Ham got him. But other than that, I think it was quite thin on the ground on who we can get. Even that Isaac from Real Sociedad's worth 70 million. So, yeah, Maupay, probably one of him and Che Adams are probably two of the better ones you could get for that. And Che Adams, I only say that because Che Adams is now showing up. Going into Maupay, so played in Ligue 1, Ligue 2, played in the Championship, got a lot of goals in the Championship. About 12 and 42 in his first year, which isn't bad, but it's not great. Then in his second season, 43 games, he got 25 goals, 8 assists as well, which is important. First year in the Prem, 10 goals in 37 games, 3 assists. Not awful for your first year in the Premier League. After that, the 2020-21 season, 33 games, goals, 2 assists, and then last season exactly the same. 8 goals, 2 assists. I mean, don't get me wrong, guys. I'm not going to make out that he's one of the most prolific strikers I've seen in my life. I'm not going to do that. I am going to try and gas it up a little bit more, but I'm not going to, not going to pretend that he's one of the greatest strikers I've ever seen and that we're such onto a winner. That it's going to be amazing for us. I'm not, that daft. And neither of you guys won't be having that either. But I don't think he's bad. I think there could have been a lot worse. We got there could have been a lot worse players out there for us. Realistically, I think he might be better than Garassi because he's Premier League proven, which I know annoys me sometimes that we do that. But at Garassi, I didn't see enough from him to think he was worth the risk of not being Prem proven. Whereas, I'm not being funny, but Neal Maupay has shown that he can come in quite importantly. He scored some big late last minute goals. I think it was the one against Arsenal, wasn't it? That just descended into chaos afterwards. He's a bit of a I'm trying not to swear because I don't know how YouTube and demonetization or whatever works, but he is a bit of a, shall we say, blank house, rhymes with hit. He's a bit of a hit house. He really does. He's got 7 yellow cards last season. It shows how much of a wind-up merchant he is. So yeah, I'll go through his stats, but I'll go through the poll first because the poll's important. So in the poll, we asked, would you take Neal Maupay at Everton? 3,803 of you voted yes. 3,803 of you voted. 52.4% said yeah. 29.1% said I don't know. 18.5% said no. So a lot of you have voted yes for that. Yeah, a lot of you have voted yeah. So now we'll go into his stats a little bit because I do like his stats. On who scored, they do like sort of a main characteristics. I don't think they scout him very much because he's only got one. That's his long shots are strong and he just likes to lay off. Obviously, he's not as tall as some of the players that lay off. But he's 5'7", so But if he likes a layoff, that's how we seem to play off our striker. He would be a bit more of a layoff ball to feet, quick pass and move, and just a big player up front to hold it up. Which I guess you need a plan B sometimes. We can't just have a big lump up front and knock it to him. I'll go off the last season on his stats for last season. He played 2,275 minutes, got 8 goals with an XG of 9.7, so he should really have done a lot better. Should be at least 2 goals more and got 10 there. It's interesting. I only mention this because Brighton are known for having a high XG, and Maupay, a lot of people say if they had a better striker, they'd be a lot higher. Maupay is their main striker, so that means it falls on him. He hasn't performed well there. He needs to be at least, I'd say, 10 goals there. Most of his goals come inside the box, 2 from outside, 8 on his right foot. So he's clearly a right-footed player. 15 shots on target, 29 off. He did get 2 assists though, and created 23 chances, which is that is important when you think about how bad our chance creation is as well. The season before that, this is the season I'm on about where people are calling him out. He had 8 goals with an XG of 13.4. Needs to be scoring a lot more than that. That means he's in position. He's got good chances. He's just not putting them away. That's a little bit worrying. That is a little bit worrying. Don't get me wrong. That's why I wanted Scamacca before West Ham, because he's notorious for finishing harder chances. He's had more goals than XG. Alas, that didn't happen. We're on Maupay, so we've got to get on with it. But his XG was a little bit lower last season, which means that he's either scoring the harder chances or he's had less chances. When you go on FBref as well, this is the final website for stats. It says similar players: Jonathan David, Timu Pukki, Lacazette are a couple of them that are sort of around there, that are similar to him in his overall, style. When you go on the Premier League for last season in a percentile, for goals, he was just about average per 90, scoring per 90. Assists were well below per 90 for a forward, which isn't very good either. I'm trying to look for some positive here. His goals to shots on target was 92% in the high percentile there, which is a little bit better. But his goals aren't very good, guys. His non-penalty goals is quite a high percentile, but his passing is a little bit better. His pass completion, he's in the higher percentiles. His chances created. It does look like he's not going to be a goal scorer type player. His dribbling's good as well, and his successful pressures. It looks like he's going to be one that will play off. I think Frank Lampard, from what we've seen already, ideally wants fluid motion between the 3 forwards. He's tried to play Gordon and McNeil there, and it won't work because when we're in, I don't know how many times we have to see this with a manager, but when this team are in trouble, they revert back to hoofing the ball to a big man. And we do that with all the time. I don't know if you've noticed it, but when it gets to panic stations, we hoof the ball. Can't do that with Maupay. I think Frank Lampard ideally wants a fluid motion. Even with Dominic Calvert-Lewin, that'd work because he can play it off with his feet. And he wants them to, play off each other. Striker takes it, pass it to the winger, runs. Winger either cuts back in or passes or goes for a goal himself. So I think he does want a bit more fluidity up front. And Maupay does fit that. His passing is better. His dribbles are good. He's certainly a better dribbler than Solomon Rondon. He's certainly a better footballer than Solomon Rondon. I don't think he'll be our main striker once Calvert-Lewin comes back into the fold. He will probably be pushed, I'd say, maybe even out wide a little bit. I think he'll be pushed out wide and then expected to sort of contribute from that. He can play attacking midfield apparently as well in the centre. So maybe he plays behind or he'll play him. I think he'll play him up the front three forwards. So yeah, but there is that is it. It's just extra fluidity up front. He's a better option. I was really against this. I'm not fully on board with it. But realistically, you have to think what other options are there out there. There aren't many. He's best of a bad bunch. He's better than what we've got. So I've come round to Neal Maupay. He's a wind-up merchant. He has got some big goals. If I know his goal tally wasn't good, but he has got some big goals for Brighton in the dying embers of the games to save them as well. Yeah, he could be better. Don't get me wrong, his XG suggests that, but I think for what Frank Lampard wants, he'll do. And I solely believe the club still have Dominic Calvert-Lewin as the main man. So once he comes back, Maupay's probably not going to be our centre forward once Dominic Calvert-Lewin is fit and up and ready. He's not going to be the main centre forward. So you just got to think of it like that. This is a bit of a stopgap. Hopefully he's not the only forward we get in. No, we do need more than just Neal Maupay. That's all I've got time for today. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're not already, and give me your thoughts on Neal Maupay. Look forward to reading them, and I'll see you soon.